Hello, welcome back. Today, I will tell you the story of one of the world's most famous sports brands, Nike, in a clear and simple way so you can learn English while you learn the history of this company. This story begins with two men who loved running and who wanted to help other runners feel faster and more comfortable. One man was Phil Knight. He was a young runner and a business student with big ideas about selling shoes from other countries in America. The other man was Bill Bowerman. He was a coach at a university. He cared deeply about how shoes could help athletes run better. In the early days, the two men worked together. They started by selling shoes made by a Japanese company. They sold shoes from the trunk of a car at track meets and small stores. They worked hard and they learned a lot about what runners needed. The business grew slowly. The men began to design shoes that could help runners jump higher, run faster, and stay safe from injury. Bill Bowerman tested new ideas in his kitchen. He tried different shapes and materials. He even used a waffle iron to make a new type of sole that had good grip and was light in weight. This small experiment showed how a simple idea could change the way shoes were made. The company changed its name and began to use a new mark that looks like a quick check or a wing. This mark was called the swoosh. A young designer made that swoosh for a low fee, and later the sign became one of the most famous logos in the world. The company also chose a name that sounded strong and fast. They named the brand after the Greek goddess of victory. That name gave the shoes a feeling of success and of movement. In the beginning, the company sold mostly running shoes. They sold shoes that felt new and different. Runners liked many of the new ideas, especially the soles that were light and the shoes that fit well. As more people ran and more people liked running, the brand grew. The company did not only sell to runners. Over time, it began to make shoes for many sports. It made shoes for basketball, tennis, soccer, and for everyday people who wanted comfort and style. A turning point came when the company worked with famous athletes. When a great basketball player agreed to work with the brand, many fans watched closely. The shoes that came from this partnership had bold colors and new technology, and young people liked them very much. These shoes did not only sell for sport, they became popular as fashion items too. The brand used strong messages to reach people. One of the greatest ideas for the brand was a simple sentence that asked people to act and to try their best. This sentence said that it was time to move, to try, and to face fear. The words were short, clear, and they stayed in the minds of many people. Over time, the company also worked to build new shoe technology. They used pockets of air in the soles to give better cushion. They tried new materials that were light and strong. They used machines and research to test how shoes reacted when people ran and jumped. The company grew from a small business into a big company that sold shoes around the world. Stores in many countries began to carry the shoes. People from different places began to see the swoosh and to feel a connection to the brand. The brand worked with famous players and with teams. It signed deals with stars on the field and on the court. Those stars wore the shoes and helped the brand to speak to many young fans. The brand also used images and short films to show that sport can give power to people. The brand's ads did not only talk about skill, they talked about courage, about trying hard, and about small steps that make a big change. The company did not always have an easy road. As it grew, people began to look at the places where the shoes were made. Some factories that made clothes and shoes for the brand did not have good pay or safe workplaces. Many people and reporters told the world about this problem. The company faced hard questions and had to change the way some things were done. Over time, the brand worked to improve how the factories treated workers. It joined new programs and made new rules for factories to improve safety and to pay better wages. This path showed that businesses have a duty to care for people as they grow. In the world of sport and fashion, the brand's shoes became part of how people show identity.
Kids, runners, and athletes wore the shoes not only for the function, but for the feeling. A pair of shoes could become a small sign of a dream, of hard work, and of being part of a team. The brand also moved into clothes and sports tools. It made shirts, shorts, and equipment for many different sports. The brand used new fabric that moved sweat away from the body so an athlete could feel dry and light. The company also used new ways of selling. With more people using phones and the internet, the brand made online shops and digital tools to help customers choose the right shoe. It worked with technology partners to create devices and apps that could track runs and help people set goals. These digital ideas made the brand move from the world of shoes into the world of training and personal fitness. Over the years, the brand's design teams and researchers stayed close to athletes. They listened to what coaches and runners said. They watched closely how people move and how their feet land on the road or the field. They used this information to make shoes that fit the need of each sport. Simple things like the shape of the toe box, the height of the heel, and the materials for the laces were changed to give better support and comfort. The brand learned that small changes can make a big difference for athletes. The story of the brand is also the story of smart marketing. The company put money into new kinds of ads that used strong images and real stories. It signed famous athletes and let them be part of the product and the message. The brand worked with a creative agency that thought in new ways. Their ads mixed sport with life. They asked people to try things, to push limits, and to believe that small steps lead to big change. This message helped the company to build a deep feeling with many different people. The brand's rise is also a lesson about risk and bold action. In the early days, the founders took a risk to import shoes and then a bigger risk to make their own brand. They faced tough competition and they sometimes lost money. But they kept working and they improved the product step by step. They listened to customers and to athletes. They did not stop when things were hard. This long work and this strong will helped them to build a world brand. In the years that followed, the brand also showed how sport can touch culture. Shoes that were made for play were used on streets, in music videos, and in casual life. Designers and artists worked with the brand to make special models that mixed art and sport. These special shoes often became very popular quickly, and people waited in long lines to buy them. The desire for certain models showed how a simple pair of shoes can become a symbol. The company also took part in social issues. It used its voice to show support for some causes and to speak about equality and rights.
Sometimes this choice cost the company sales in some places, but it also created strong loyalty with people who shared the same values. The brand learned that being a leading company means to take stands on issues that matter to many people. At the same time, the brand kept making new technology. It worked on better cushioning, lighter materials, and designs that reduce waste. In recent years, the brand tried to make products with recycled materials and to cut the use of chemicals that harm the earth. The company created programs to collect old shoes to recycle and to turn them into new products. These steps showed a desire to make sport without making harm to the planet. For people who study business, the brand's story gives many lessons. First, know the customer. The brand grew because it listened to runners and athletes and then gave them new solutions. Second, work with people who know the craft. The founders worked side by side with a coach. That close work between sport knowledge and business helped the product to be useful. Third, tell a simple and strong message. The brand's short phrases and images made many people remember them easily. Fourth, work with strong partners. The company found designers, athletes, and creative people who helped shape the image and the product. Fifth, accept hard questions and try to improve.
When the brand faced criticism about factory work, it had to change and to face the problem openly. These lessons show that success is not only about a good product, but also about how a company acts in the world. Today, the brand is present in many countries and serves millions of customers. It makes shoes for sports and for daily life. It supports young athletes and big teams. It also keeps working on new ideas for shoes and clothing. The brand's story is still in progress. New technologies, new sports, and new social ideas will shape what comes next. For English learners, this story of a brand is also a story about small steps and steady work. The founders started with small sales and simple experiments. A waffle iron in a kitchen made a new idea for a soul. A cheap drawing became a famous sign. Simple choices changed the path of a business into a global brand. If you think about your own projects, you can take small steps, learn from people who use your work, and keep trying even when things are hard. In the end, the history of this brand teaches a lesson about creativity and courage. It shows how people who care deeply about sport and who work hard to solve small problems can make something that helps many others. The brand's name and mark now belong to many people around the world who put on a pair of shoes and go through a run, play on a court, or just walk in the city. Each pair carries a memory of small experiments, brave choices, and long hours of work. This is the long and simple story of how a small shoe business grew into one of the most known names in sport and style.